Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Bernie here along with Pete.
Yo.
Again, we got another Charge episode 2018. How was your New Year's Day?
I worked a lot. I'm going to work again today. Yeah, I'm excited to do this, though. It's been a couple weeks, so I'm very thrilled to get back on that basketball talk.
Yeah, and what better way to get back on the basketball talk than to kind of do a report card on the NBA season so far. Some teams have already played 40 games, such as the Celtics, and other teams as well. And we're here just to talk about kind of like the midseason, since it's an 82-game season. Let's just talk about it here on The Charge.
Hey.
James. LeBron James all the way in.
And here comes Simmons the other way. 3-on-2. Simmons eludes the defender and lays it in with that.
Certainly the length altered that shot out of the window. Steps crutches.
Play right there.
Porzingis from Jennings. Throw down and a foul.
Irving, splits the defense with the dribble.
What are we starting with, Bernie? We want to start with the standings?
Yeah, let's start with the standings real quick. So we'll go over the Eastern Conference first, and then we'll go to the Western Conference. Of course, you have Boston Celtics at number 1, Toronto Raptors at number 2, Cleveland at 3, Pistons at 4, Washington Wizards at 5, Milwaukee at 6, Miami at 7, and Pacers at 8, with notable outsiders such as the New York Knicks, who are in the 9th place, and then the 76ers, who are in the 10th place.
Yes. So let's break down the Eastern Conference first. Let's go categorically. Let me ask you a few questions about the standings, just to start narrowing some stuff down. Any teams in the playoffs right now, right? If the playoffs started, let's say on the lower half of it, that you think could do something big with, where they're at. So 5 through 8, you got Wizards, Bucks, Heat, and Pacers. Any of those teams you think could actually do some damage in the playoffs as of right now?
I think the Pacers could give the Celtics a little bit of trouble, unlike they did last year with the Cavaliers in the first round. I think the Pacers are a little bit more motivated this year. We have, of course, Oladipo on this team, who's playing outstanding. I forgot to mention that he's probably one of our breakout NBA players for 2017.
Yeah, we didn't talk about him in that video.
But, he's just one of those guys that could honestly carry a team to at least a couple wins over this Boston Celtics team. I think if they added one more star to the Pacers, I think they'd actually be a very good contending team. Maybe a small forward small forward I think would be good. Of course, you can't count out Miami with Eric Spoelstra.
Yeah.
Another team that I think could give any of these teams a little bit of trouble. If it were to end right now, the Heat would give the Raptors a little bit of trouble. I don't trust the Raptors in the playoffs at all.
No.
As much as I enjoy DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, they just some reason disappear.
Yeah.
So I think that is like, if I had to pick between those two teams, I think the Heat would give the Raptors right now the biggest trouble.
Definitely.
What about you? What do you got?
Out of those teams, I would say the Wizards, obviously, just if they get their stuff together, which it seems like they actually kind of are. After all the criticism I like to give them. I don't necessarily like to give them criticism. I just think they deserve it. I do think they're probably not going to be in the bottom half of the seeding when it comes down to the playoffs.
Right.
But I think really when you look at their team, like, they're kind of built for a good playoff run. And I honestly, there's a chance that, who knows, they could, upset the Cavaliers and make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, however it works, and then make it to the finals. But they really do need to work on just being more consistent as a squad. John Wall needs to be much more consistent. Bradley Beal needs to put up his crazy numbers more consistently. They just need an all-around team effort. And honestly, I think the big thing for them is just the overconfidence needs to go away, And I think some of that has faded away since the beginning of the season with all their trash talk towards LeBron and the Cavaliers. And then they got whooped on, but we'll see. And then they did it with the Lakers, too, and they ended up losing that game. So, I think they just need to do some growing. Honestly, they still are a pretty young team, really. Like John Wall and Bradley Beal are in their mid-20s, so they're not that old. But yeah, we'll see. I think they, and part of the reason that I'm saying them is just because they did manage to only be the 5 seed so far. But yeah, other than them, I'd say the Bucks, just because I think their team is good, and I think like we've discussed, I think as Bledsoe and Giannis get more time to play together, I think they're just going to keep getting better as like a unit.
Right.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't have faith in the Pacers yet. That's left. I'll leave that to later in the season to make that call. Pistons, though. Let's move into them. No confidence in the Pistons.
No?
No. After their what did they go, like a 7 or 8 game losing streak, I think. Maybe it was 6. But they did go on a really big losing streak, and the way they were playing, just their differential, like as far as those games were concerned, like they were getting whooped on, really. Like a lot of those games weren't very close. From what I watched and what I saw, they did not look very good. But we'll see what they can do. I definitely don't think they're going to end up in the top 4 seeds of the East. I think they're probably going to be like a 7, maybe 6 or 7, if they're lucky, maybe even 8. But yeah, the Pistons, out of all these teams, I have very little faith in them doing anything in the playoffs. I hope I'm wrong because I do like their team and I like what Drummond has done. But yeah, out of all those teams, maybe the Indiana Pacers, maybe a little bit even less confidence in them. But I think Detroit is certainly first or second for me. Do you have any other teams that you don't not have any confidence in out of those 8?
Out of these 8, I think the only ones I'm not really having confidence in, like I said, the Raptors are like my number 1, due to the fact that I think they can be better than what they are if they traded away some pieces, if they did a little better in the offseason. But other than that, I think you covered basically all of them that I was worried about. The Wizards I was worried about. And, like I said, even though I give the Pacers credit, I do think that they're a team that, because, we have to also look at the other 2 teams at the bottom, the 76ers and the Knicks. Yeah. I think those 2 teams could make a push, and I've been saying it. I don't know if I've been saying it on the channel, but I have been saying it to you off screen. I do think that the Knicks can make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a very tough battle, but I think they have the best chance of getting in there. But, I think we got to talk about kind of just a report card system right now. I think
let's do it.
Let's talk about just where we think if we had to grade the 76ers for this season so far, what would you give them?
76ers. That's tough. I'm going to give them a B+. I'm not
B+?
going to think about it too much. I'm going to give them a B+ just because I do think a lot of people were not giving them any credit before the season started. They didn't think Joel Embiid was going to be healthy. People weren't sure about Ben Simmons. I know I've talked about it. I was not sure about Ben Simmons. I knew he was going to be good. I just didn't know he was going to be this good. But really, when you look at that team, they're really young, really, really young, with a couple like older veterans on the team, like JJ Redick. But I like what they've done, and honestly, I do think out of all the teams not in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, they have the best chance. Sorry, Knicks, I love you to death, but I really do think the 76ers will end up having the best shot, and I really think they're going to end up making the playoffs. But this is the first year of what we're seeing as start of like the payoff for the process, and I think it's hard not to be confident with what we've seen so far for the 76ers. Between Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, the future is very bright for those young fellas.
Yeah, I think I'd have to give them a B, just a little. I don't know if you call it like half a letter grade less or whatever it is. Only because I think that, although they've been playing very well and, they had the crazy start to the season, they've kind of faltered a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's just due to the age and, like, not everyone has that playoff experience. I think the only one really is JJ Redick.
JJ Redick, yeah, I think
and
so.
He's the only veteran leadership on that team. So it's kind of hard to come together when you don't have, like, I think he's a good leader, but I think they could obviously get someone else to kind of fill that, like, bigger leadership role, someone that's known as a leader throughout the NBA. And so that's the only reason why I give them a B. Of course, they had the crazy start, so we can't, discredit that.
Yeah.
But I do think that they've kind of sputtered down a little bit. They've lost a couple games that they should have won, like the Thunder game.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm gonna take it down. I'm gonna put it to a B just because I remembered something that I think they should be penalized for, that being the Markelle Fultz situation. Not only just based on, whatever it is that's wrong with him, but I think just the way it's been handled is kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't gotten very much information on him. I still don't think he's back, is he?
No, I think he's still recovering from a shoulder injury.
It's just bizarre because I remember hearing a month ago, he's almost ready to go,
Yeah.
and this mystery injury that happened all of a sudden. I just feel like that situation is so strange, and he's the number 1 pick in the draft. It's looking an awful lot like, from what we've seen play-wise, he didn't look very good, and then this injury, I don't know. I'm worried about Markelle Fultz, and if he's your number 1 pick on probably the first year of what we should be seeing in, progression, I'm a little worried about that. But I'm just going to take him down to a B because of that. But I forgot about the Markelle Fultz situation.
Yeah. Should we move up to the Knicks?
Let's move up to the Knicks.
We're just going to go in reverse order, guys, from what we think is a good overall. So, New York Knicks, what do you think so far of their letter grade? What would you give them?
I'm going to give my boys an A. Just for the mere fact that, honestly, this team shouldn't be anywhere near the 500 mark. They're 18-18. They've won some really... They've definitely won games they shouldn't have won.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, like, the nights that Kristaps was injured, you have Michael Beasley coming out there scoring 32 points or 31 points. He had a couple 30-point games where, either there was one of them where Kristaps played and was just dreadful, and then there was one where Kristaps didn't play and they still managed to win because Beasley was, out there feasting on him. Offensive juggernaut he is. I'm so impressed with, like, how much of a squad they actually look like they are. They look like they actually care about each other on the court. They want to play with each other, which compared to last year is such a dramatic change. I'm just genuinely impressed with the team. I haven't been so enthused about a Knicks team in a long time. Even some of the years where we were playoff contenders with Carmelo, even those years, I just knew whatever we did, we were still not going to win the championship,
Right.
And in this year, I know we're not winning a championship, but I'm just more excited to see because it's the first year of what should have been tanking, but now it looks like we're growing, and next year we're just going to be better. So, loving the Knicks. What are you giving them?
I'm giving them a B+. I think, like I said, they've I have them going into the playoffs as my prediction. I think they are one of those teams that have been the surprise of the season so far. Besides a couple teams that, like the Denver Nuggets, would be another shout for surprise team of the year. But, the New York Knicks are playing really well. Kristaps Porzingis having an amazing year, really improving from his last season.
Yeah.
After the whole, Phil Jackson stuff, not wanting to come back to the Knicks team, the Knicks decided that we're going to invest our future in Kristaps rather than Phil Jackson because it obviously hasn't worked out with Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
And so, Kristaps Porzingis has carried this team along with other players that have done it as well. I mean, we can't forget about Michael Beasley, like you said. We can't forget about
Courtney Lee's had some big games.
I mean, the only person that really hasn't done very well is Rod Baker because he took a nasty dunk on by Anthony Davis. But, I still think that the Knicks can make the playoffs, and that's the reason why I'm giving them a B+.
Yeah.
Based on the fact that I see potential in them to still continue to get to that playoff spot, and, we'll see if they do get it.
And, I mean, just considering the fact that a lot of people put them as either the worst team or maybe in the bottom 3 teams of the league before the season started, I think the fact that where they're at, a lot of people think they're going to be in the playoffs. I don't want to say whether I think they are or not because I don't want to jinx anything. But, I mean, it's pretty impressive because look at where the Atlanta Hawks are. Like 3 months ago, it was not unfathomable to believe the Knicks were going to be worse than that. So it's pretty wonderful so far. I'm very excited with my boys.
Okay, so let's just do really quickly from 8 through 4. Let's just give a letter grade and maybe just like a couple words on it, and then we'll work on the top 3 because I think those are the teams that everyone will be interested in.
Okay.
So, Indiana Pacers, what are we giving them?
I'm gonna give them a B+. Oladipo, one word answer. Oladipo.
Yeah, I think B+ is the correct answer, and like you said, Oladipo. There's no other way to describe this team other than Oladipo. Miami Heat.
I'm gonna give them a B-.
B-, okay.
I think they can be better. I think they have a lot of good talent on the team. Spoelstra is doing a good job, but as the team gets a little bit more solidified, they're just going to keep getting better as the season goes on. Same thing as what happened last year when they went on their 30-game win streak or whatever the fuck it was. Crazy. They're going to do something like that.
Yeah, I think I'm giving them a C+.
Okay.
Only the reason why is because I think they have all the tools to be a top 4 team.
Yeah.
Or top 5 at least. But they're one superstar away, and that's supposed to be Gordon Hayward. We'll see if they can either get Paul George or someone else this offseason.
See what happens.
Where are we going with the Bucks? What's their...
Bucks? Ooh, man, I kind of want to give them a B- as well. I like what I've seen from the Bucks so far. Sometimes I really don't like what I've seen. But I think it's the same kind of thing as the Miami Heat. I think they're going to keep getting better as the season goes on, as, like I said, Bledsoe and Giannis start to get more familiar with each other. Giannis really hasn't worked with a good point guard. Now he finally has one.
Mm-hmm.
So the team's just going to keep getting better, but they've had some slip-ups and, obviously won at least one game they shouldn't have won, which was the Thunder game, the controversy. But it is what it is. I think they're going to get better as the season goes on.
I'm going to give them a B+.
Ooh.
The reason why is because I believe Giannis has solidified himself as an NBA superstar.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people like Colin Cowherd say he's not. I think he is. And I think this Milwaukee Bucks team will just get better and better. The reason why I don't give them an A is because we've predicted them to be kind of a top 4 team.
Yeah.
And they haven't delivered on that so far.
Yeah, and just one more thing to add to my analysis why I'm giving them a B-. I want to see better defense out of Milwaukee. That's it. Better defense.
Number 5, the Wizards.
I'm giving them a C. A C. I'm hard on the Wizards. I think they're top. Honestly, I think they should be in the top 2. Really, we'll get to Cleveland in a little bit, but I really think with what has transpired with injuries so far this year, I think the Wizards should be like the number 2 or maybe even 3. They've lost some really bad games. They started off extremely slow. And, like I said, talked a lot of trash they shouldn't have talked, and lost games they shouldn't have lost. C.
I think I'm going to go lower than you. I'm going to go C-.
Wow.
Only because the same reasons as you should really be a top 3 team.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be struggling the way that they are. Even though, they're 21-16, it still seems like with the way that Cleveland is right now, with some of the injuries to IT, Toronto Raptors, don't really have the much confidence in them, and the Detroit Pistons as well, not playing as well.
Yeah.
They definitely should be overtaking them and other teams as like the top team in the East, I think.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is with that. And like I said, I still think that Otto Porter is overpaid.
I don't necessarily agree, but I think they need to fix some of their parts, certainly.
Detroit Pistons?
D-Town. I'm going to give them a B+. I know I was a little hard on them a little bit ago, but based on what they've done, based on their last season, the fact that they're the 4 seed at the current moment in the NBA landscape is pretty incredible. Andre Drummond, it looks like a new revitalized player this year. Added the free throw part of his game, and honestly, might be. I don't know. He's one of the best rebounders I've ever seen. He's just so tenacious on the court. I just have no faith in them staying in the top 6. I have no faith. Based on what I saw in that losing streak, I just think it's going to keep going downhill. And they had that game recently. I can't even remember which game it was, but Stan Van Gundy came out and said it's the worst game he's ever coached. Do you remember that? I don't.
Was it the Nuggets?
I think it might have been the Nuggets game. Yeah, he came out and said it was literally one of the worst games he's ever coached in his entire life, which is he's been coaching for a very long time. So that's pretty impressive. But yeah, I think they're just gonna slip. But I am impressed with what they've managed to accomplish so far, and I like their young pieces and the squad they've built.
Yeah, for me, Detroit, they get a B+, based on the fact that Tobias Harris is balling out and Andre Drummond is completely owning his star level right now.
Beasting and feasting.
Like you said, beasting and feasting on the boards, at the free throw line, so there's no more Hackett Drummond. Everything's good with the team. You know, obviously they lost Reggie Jackson. They lost Avery Bradley to injuries and other stuff. Another stuff that we won't go over on this channel. But it's a good formula for when they come back to kind of hopefully carry them. I still think they're missing a solid point guard.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like the one thing that they're missing. But like you said, they'll probably slip up just a little bit, but I think they'll still be able to make the playoffs.
Yeah.